Hi, welcome to episode 7. We're here in Bayfield, Wisconsin, visiting the Apostle Islands with our friends Herb and Nancy Hovey.
Howdy.
Hi.
And Ben and Gay Miller.
Hi.
Hi.
During episode 7, we're going to visit Wallace, Idaho, and then Coors Ranch in Montana, Duluth, Minnesota, and finally, we'll take a boat trip through the Apostle Islands here where we're visiting now. We hope everybody was able to see episode 6 okay. With episode 7, we're completing our volume 2 of our Travelogues, which will be available on the website soon. And of course, don't forget the October issue and January issue of our magazines are currently available, as well as our Natchez Trace Parkway video and the Lewis and Clark Trail. Hope everybody's doing fine, and we hope to see everybody soon. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
After completing our 58-day Alaska caravan, we spent a week unwinding in Kettle Falls, Washington. Then we traveled through Idaho and Montana, spent a week on Lake Sakakawea, met up with Ben and Gay Miller in Minnesota, and traveled with them to meet Herb and Nancy Hovey for a rendezvous in Bayfield, Wisconsin. In Idaho, we discovered the old mining town of Wallace. It was here that the last section of Interstate 90 was completed after successful efforts to avoid having the highway destroy most of the historic downtown. To accomplish this, the old depot was moved 1 block across the river and the freeway was elevated for 1 mile over the existing railroad grade. We toured the Oasis Bordello Museum, an operating brothel until 1988 when the girls left, with only the clothes on their backs, just ahead of an FBI crackdown on corruption in the local government. Although they intended to return, they never did. Gloria and I boarded a trolley for a short ride to the Sierra Silver Mine to take a tour through this unique spot. Although several attempts to mine silver failed, this mine was used, until recently, as a high school tech center providing students with vocational training, enabling them to compete successfully for many of the higher-paying jobs in the mining industry. Our guide was a hard rock miner himself and, based on over 20 years' experience, provided great insight into a life of working underground. In Montana, we visited Coors Ranch National Historic Site in Deer Lodge. The National Park Service purchased this once very successful ranch in order to allow visitors to experience life on an actual cattle ranch. As settlers crossed the territory in search of a new life in the West, Johnny Grant would trade one of his healthy range cattle for 2 worn and hungry animals traveling with the settlers. He then restored their health on his open range until they were ready to trade for 2 more head. Conrad Coors, the ranch's second owner, brought his 19-year-old bride, Augusta, to the ranch in 1868. The ranch house still holds all of the furnishings, pictures, and household items purchased by Augusta in her effort to bring a touch of culture to an unpolished land. Long after the ranch was downsized and Conrad had died, Augusta still spent summers in her home. After her death in 1945, at age 96, grandson Conrad Coors Warren locked up the house, leaving the contents intact. This time capsule was not reopened until 1972, when the ranch became a National Historic Site. Work camper volunteers provide tours and cook at the Chuck Wagon in exchange for a campsite at a nearby campground.
Where you from? There you go. Brown handle creamer shirt.
There is always a pot of hot coffee, any sample of authentic food, once served to the hands during roundups, cooked over the fire.
This was their home away from home. Cowboy made about $40 a month working out on the range. Chuck Wagon cook, if he was a good cook, made about anywhere from $60 to $100 a month. So he made a lot more money than the regular cowboy did. If he wasn't a good cook, he didn't last too long anyway. So.
Here I was able to try my hand at roping. Think I'm ready to try to catch a real calf from a moving horse? While we were in Hazen, North Dakota, we met Mike Quinn, who invited us out for a sailboat ride on Lake Sakakawea. When we last boated on the lake in 1997, the water level was much higher. In fact, the tip of the mast would have been about 10 feet underwater. We had a very relaxing 2-hour ride while Mike and his wife Sissy told us about the lake. We are very seriously thinking of spending next summer in this part of North Dakota. While Gloria and Gay Miller spent some time shopping in the Canal Park district of Duluth, Minnesota, Ben and I took a very interesting tour on the ore freighter William A. Irvin.
She was too old or because she had a major accident. It was just because she was too small.
The Irvin was built in 1938 and served as the flagship of the great U.S. Steel Fleet. In this role, she carried many company executives and guests, so 4 special cabins and elegant dining facilities were added to the Spartan accommodations normally found on these ore ships. Finally, Herb and Nancy Hovey caught up with us and we spent 3 days in Bayfield, Wisconsin. Here we enjoyed a 3-hour boat cruise of the Apostle Islands. We left Bayfield and traveled past Hermit Island, where one of several brownstone quarries provided the stone used on many of the historic buildings built in this area starting around 1856. Then we sailed up to Devil's Island to see the sea caves created in the sandstone by storms and wave action, and past Devil's Island Light. After rounding Devil's Island, we started back passing Raspberry Island, where efforts are underway to fully restore the Lightkeeper's house. Our return route took us along the mainland past Oak and Basswood Islands back to the unique fishing and recreational port of Bayfield.